What's going on, guys, and welcome back to LOI TV. Now today, as you can see, I am joined by Socko once again, joined by Griff for the first time in a while, and we do have our very first special guest on the channel, Brían Doyle, who is the manager of the Bohs Amputee team. Brían, thanks so much for joining us today.
Very welcome.
Great to see you on the channel for the first time. Well, not the first time.
Yeah,
a little series called Sunday League of Ireland. An appearance.
Little cameo there.
Yeah. How are we all?
Yeah, no, very good. Glad to be back on the channel. Making my yearly appearance. So,
Annual buy-in.
Here I am, man. Yeah, I'm having a great time.
It's great to see you.
Yeah, I'm great.
All good. Sure, only saw you yesterday.
That's it. Yeah.
And sick you.
Few developments since we talked about the Aaron.
Yeah, so
we'll get on to that later on, I suppose.
we'll get on to that later on. I'm just so excited.
Yeah. But we will be talking to our guest, Brían Doyle, Bohs Amputee team manager. As I did say, Brían, how did that kind of come about, that whole job?
Do you know, I was actually thinking, because you said it to me before about how it came about.
We had a small chat on the way to training once. But
yeah, and I was kind of like, how did it come about? Because I just hadn't really thought about it in a while. And basically, when I finished my National C licence, which is one of the steps on your way up through the coaching badges and the coaching ladder, there were one of the recommendations for me was to do something with the team at an elite level.
Ours was it?
Yeah, no, sorry, I don't think Leicester Senior League Division 3A cuts it. And so it is hard to get in because there's only so many positions, particularly in a certain amount of clubs around Dublin, and it's very competitive. So I was kind of like, what's the next step for me? And I was kind of looking at maybe trying to get involved with one of the national underage teams in the National League at some level. And then I was sitting watching the Club World Cup final there in December, and it was half time, and I was just flicking through Twitter, and the FAI had tweeted out saying that they were looking for coaches for the Amputee League, and the two teams were Cork, which is obviously not very feasible, and Bohs, and like I'm a Bohs fan in the League of Ireland, and I kind of thought, geez, that'd be great, like what a step that'd be. So applied. And got within like 5 minutes, I had an email back being like, okay, well, it was just from the FAI, and Chris McElliott, who runs it, kind of is the Ireland manager at the moment, and kind of is the coach at the FAI and runs the league kind of in general. And he was saying, okay, well, Deadly, I'll send you on some clips, I'll send you on what they're looking for, and I'll be in touch after Christmas. And I was like, okay. And so I was kind of like, doing a lot of research on it. I'd actually seen stuff before. I watch it. I think Striker Online, Amos Scott had put some stuff up, and it's very, very interesting. It's a different kind of football, and I think that was one of the things that attracted me to it. Was it's something completely different. It's completely out of my comfort zone. And I actually what kind of happened then was I didn't hear back for ages, and they played the first round of league games. And I was a bit kind of like, oh, well, I mustn't have got it. It's fine. And could have told me, but whatever. And then I kind of just said, I got an email then out of the blue from Chris being like, hey, sorry, we've been in touch, we've been so busy. The lads from Bohs want to meet you next week. So I went in and met Chris from Bohemians and Jack O'Conroy, who is current Ireland captain and goalkeeper for Bohs, and went in and spoke to the two of them and kind of laid out what I thought should happen over the course of the season, and what I was thinking, and Ger Coughlin, who's the Malahide United first team manager, was the previous manager, or the first manager of the Bohs Amputee team a few years ago, and I kind of spoke to him, and he kind of let me know that behind the scenes they'd approached him to see what I was like as a coach, and he was very complimentary and said no, it'd be really good, and that's then I kind of took over the team.
With the crutches, in terms of their abilities, would it vary, or what are their abilities like?
Yeah, I think it kind of pretty much all of them have one leg missing in some form or another.
See you later.
Yeah, see you later. But it's interesting, kind of. I think it's a bit like anything. The more you cycle a bike, the better you become at cycling that bike. It's a bit like that.
To be on the team.
Yeah, in terms
you have to have a limb missing.
So you have to. So as the outfield players are a limb missing, a lower limb missing, and
it's like above the knee or below.
It doesn't really matter. As long as you have one full now, you can't use prosthetics or anything playing.
Oh really?
No. So it's just crutches, and so they all kind of have one leg. Yeah, there's none of the blades kind of thing. And then to be a goalkeeper, you have 2 legs and either one arm missing or one hand missing or whatever. So it's really interesting. And they all have kind of different stories about how they ended up in the position they're in.
I was about to ask you that, like, must be some inspirational stuff.
Yeah, there is, and it's. I don't really think it's my place to share people's personal stories here, but it is kind of when you hear people like, oh well, this is, we just adapt, and I've always played football and I always wanted to play football, and this is my outlet for doing that. So and now I'm in a position where, okay, it's ideally how I saw my life going, but I'm in a position to play football for my country and to represent myself and my family. And where I'm from in an international tournament, like all of us would dream of that. And to get the opportunity, mightn't be the way you expect it to go, but this is it. And no, it is really good to hear them talk, and as I said, the professionalism they bring to it is incredible. But in terms of using the crutches,
it must be such a different experience. You're not only focusing on the football, but like how the crutches come into that too.
It's kind of, the crutches are.
I remember you saying it could be quite physical as well.
Oh, it's very physical. Yeah. Okay. I mean, like it's some of the tackles.
Like a free kick for someone like.
So that if you can't really use your crutches at all as an instrument in the game, you can't use them as a weapon. That's a red card. If the ball hits your crutch, it's almost like a handball situation. It's kind of like, was it?
So it's up to you to take it out of the way.
Yeah.
Wow.
But that'd be the kind of thing like, did it interfere with play? Did it?
If you're moving it.
If you're gone, is there a movement towards it? Kind of thing, and it's open to interpretation. Now the referees generally in the league, there's 2 referees in each game. They're quite good. Sometimes I'm a bit like, what's he supposed to do there? But so you can't use it at all. But we had a referee the first game I was there, and he turned to me at the end. The weather was terrible. And he turned to me after we'd beaten Cork, about halfway through, and he said, "Because Jesus, I actually forgot they were using crutches." And you really do forget that they're playing with crutches when you see the ability of players like James Boyle and Stefan on my team, and the way Gary moves around using the crutches. It's incredible. You're like, these could genuinely be.
Their upper body strength must be amazing.
You should see the size of James Boyle. Like, he's absolutely massive. He's huge. Like.
He scored twice against
Rovers, scored a hat-trick against Cork, and like his 3rd goal against Cork, I think he beat the whole team, and then like did a step over around the goalkeeper and put it in, and he's just gone like, that was unbelievable.
So would he be the starting striker for Ireland at the Euros kind of thing?
I don't want to say yes or no, but if it's
not
me,
my place to say.
it's not my place to say. But if it was me, the whole team would be built around James.
So there's a few players from the 3 Irish teams selected for the Irish team.
Team, so there'd be there's a pretty set kind of at the moment. I think it's a pretty set.
How many players are actually on the squad then? Because it's 7-a-side international, you said, so it'd be a squad of like 12, 14.
I actually don't know. I would say around that, but you can kind of pick out the players who would be kind of the Irish players.
Do you make subs early in stage, or do you have any players you actually have on your team?
So we have
like on a match day.
The last match day we only had 5 just because of injuries and people not being able to travel. Generally, I think we've 8 people on the team.
Roll off.
Yeah, roll off. But as I said, it kind of, you pick and choose your moments quite well, because against Cork, they travelled. The last day was only 4 players, so I could put out 5 if I wanted, but I chose to just play a 4. Don't be a scumbag.
Do anything to win.
Well, they kind of said to me, they were like, look, if you're 1-0 down with 3 minutes to go, put your 5th player on, because it's well within your rights.
That won't be a problem.
I was like, no worries. So it gave us the opportunity, knowing that we had Rovers later, to rest the player. It's important. I took James off after he scored a hat-trick in the Cork game, and I was like, right, I need you tipped up for the next game, because it's 5. So
taking on half time after scoring a hat-trick.
But that's it. Like you pick and choose your moments, and the timeouts are really, really important.
Are they kind of strategic?
100%. Against Rovers, we'd scored right after half time. James got a great goal, and they were kind of putting pressure on. A minute. And I was like about 5 minutes ago, and it was absolutely freezing. Like, the weather was terrible, and I just said, we're taking a timeout because I want to kill their momentum. And it worked perfectly, because we went and scored a goal.
It has to be
directly
ball
after.
style play.
You tell the referee, and then the next time
Yeah,
it kind of
so
goes out
that's
to play.
what-
Yeah, next time you
That's
have
why
the ball.
That kind of adds
They
that
call it.
extra element to it. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Like,
It's extremely interesting, and it's something I kind of not wish I could do in our games, but
sound
Okay.
Sir cameraman.
yeah, sure, go on. Like,
Might as well.
I'm here now. Cheers.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Fine.
yeah. So it's kind of something I was like, geez, it's such an interesting concept to kind of be able to stop mid half and say,
Yeah, absolutely.
we need to change this up, or
Yeah.
you need to do this, or I literally
But
said to
you're
the
losing
lads.
the game, it's kind of like you can-
Yeah,
It's
I
like
literally said to the lads
combination thing.
in the Rovers game, I was like, I only call this to kill their momentum. And they were like, yeah, good idea.
Dead right.
You know, and we won the game 2-0, so it worked out really well.
So much.
Yeah, no, obviously I'm a
Would
tactical
you
genius.
get that kind of frustrated with Rovers? Maybe get frustrated at that if they were playing well at the time like that. would it
Well,
be-
yeah, I think so.
Yeah. It's not- they
But
don't
it's
kind of
within my
play
rights,
the rules,
and
like,
it's,
yeah.
to do it. So.
Like a spoiled child. Like, I'm allowed to.
Well, no, I am, yeah. You know, and if they had done it to me, I would have gone, and we were only, we were pressing for an equaliser. I'd have gone, right, well.
Fair enough.
I would have said fair enough. You just
Well, no, but like it is what you make of it.
Yeah,
So if they had
It's pretty
decided
good,
right
like.
to come out, like if they had come out and said, no, I don't know what happened in their huddle, but if it was my huddle and we're a man or we're a goal down and they call it timeout, say we need to be on it the second we go back out here. We need to maintain those levels in the concentration, and it's a bit like when we concede a goal or score a goal in our games. It's that those next 5 minutes are the most important, and we scored within 2 minutes of the restart after. So it's all about mentality, and then the mentality is massive in it because you only play against the three other sides. Like we played Knockmitten at the weekend, and we lost them earlier in the season. And it's like, okay, you know, we have to build ourselves up here to go and get the win. And we were 2-1 down at half time, and I was pretty irate, I think, at half time, and saying we need to do this X, Y, Z, and we did that, and we won the game.
Yeah.
But if you're playing against teams that you played 3 weeks ago and lost, you then have to build yourself up to go and play those same group of players again in a similar scenario and get the victory. On the flip side of that, for us at the moment, it's we've beaten all of these teams twice now.
Yeah.
We need to be able to go out and maintain those standards and not just maintain the standards, push on, because everyone else is going to say, okay, this is the standard this year. This is what we need to do to beat Bohs. We need to go.
Use that
Yeah.
on your back.
So it's such a different.
And would they kind of make plans to like maybe say obviously St James is kind of your.
Yeah.
They'd have to, but they kind of come in with a.
Well, judging by the tackles that were put on him in that Rovers game, yes, I think they had a very obvious tactic, which was when he gets the ball and he gets past you, just boot him.
Yeah.
Says then he's shithousery.
Oh, he's unbelievable! Like one of the tackles.
Timeouts.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, from me. Yeah. No, it's so as we were talking about earlier, like it's so competitive, and there is kind of. Few bad tackles going in and people bodies flying everywhere, and
I just think even have the crutches just like it's just like having just a weapon on you.
Yeah,
like,
but like that's
It's
like if you
it is a red card, so it is kind of like, you know.
It's like using your elbow or
Yeah, exactly.
Well,
Yeah.
even
Have you ever-
some of the tackles going in our league, like I mean,
Stupid question: have you ever seen a player hit another player, or is that like unheard of?
I haven't seen it. I'm sure it has happened. I'd say it has happened in a Bohs Rovers game.
Yeah.
But I haven't seen it as of yet.
It's the same
But-
thing as a player hitting a player.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, like I don't think we've ever played. I think that one game last year against Rotoked where your man turned around and kicked Chris Curley with his shin, which I think he got on video.
Against DCU as well when your man tried to kill Jamie. Do you remember when he came in? He jumped up in the air.
Oh, that was Lee, wasn't it? In the last minute, no?
Oh, it was Lee. It was Lee.
In the last second, and it was all kicked off. Yeah, but I was like, that's it. Like, I don't think, particularly, I think it would take a lot in the Irish League for it to happen because the players all know each other so well. I'm
awkward.
sure, a bit awkward. Like you have to go back a bit, like Joe Gomez and Raheem Sterling. You then have to go on international duty to play. You don't want to go in because it ruins the dynamic. If at a Euros you're like, you booted me in the league game and you knocked me out, or you put me out for 3 weeks, kind of thing. So I mean, it's within their own interest as well going forward to an international tournament. You don't want to be like, right, I'd hope that Rovers aren't going to be like, well, we're going to just boot James Boyle in the next game in Cork, like, but you never know. Like if the European Championships or the World Cup were in Turkey, it's massive in Turkey for some reason. It's huge in Turkey. They're the best team in the world, and they held the World Cup of the Euros. And there's a clip online, and it was held in a fucking stadium. It was them against England in the World Cup final, and there was like 50,000 people there. in a stadium, in like Besiktas Stadium or something.
So
Just
I'd
really
imagine
good
it's
pitch, like.
actually bigger in countries where, I mean, that the army and stuff would be kind of bigger. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
it's weird. Like in
That's a good
England,
point.
I thought, oh, it's gonna be massive in England. But no, it's a bit weird the way the English do it. Like they're saying they've like the guys who play seriously, they have started their own league because the big Premier League clubs that have teams, they do like a football for all style thing, which is kind of like what it is here.
Yeah.
But they don't play the international standard, so they can't qualify for the Champions League or anything. So the other players are like, right, we're gonna make our own mini league. Of players who want to play and competitively. So yeah, it's really, really interesting.
There's kind of related. My one of my favorite comedians, Adam Hills. He, do you know?
It's the last leg, isn't it?
Yeah, he lost a leg. He's a prosthetic leg.
Yeah.
But he found out there was no team, rugby league team for him in England. So he went up to, I think it was Manchester, and found a team there, and they played a team from Sydney a few months ago. But there was a really good documentary about it, and he was like, there's only a few teams in the country we have to play.
Yeah. Well, I think like that, like the lads kind of said that. I was asking like, how did you get involved, and like, you know, because it is one thing to go through maybe like if you lost your leg during your life, a traumatic experience for you, and then to kind of come out that and say, oh, I want to play sport.
Yeah.
Obviously, I said the lads, like, they all grew up playing football and this is what they want to do, so why should they stop? But like Jacko was telling me a story of like how he's from Navan, and he was telling me how he got involved, and he was like, oh, I was at a Meath game and I was hungover the next day waiting for a bus back to Navan in Phibsborough, and I was just sitting there, and then he's like, next thing, this guy who turned out to be Chris McElliott was like, how's it going? And Jacko was like, alright, what's cracking? And he was like, I see you've only got one hand there. And he was like sitting there going, oh, jeez, like, who's this kind of idiot? And he was like, no, like, you know, I'm in a similar situation myself, and he showed him his leg, and he just got talking. He said he was Adam, and then there is a couple of fellas that, like, you know, within the team that we're kind of know of, that the lads are like, oh, this guy from from Santry or from Swords, wherever, he'd be a good addition to the team. I'm trying to get him to come down, but like at that, it's one of those things that, as we were talking about with the crutches, like I've been on crutches before many times, and it's a pain. My hand gets so sore. So to be able to run like with those, it's just incredible. So I think it is a kind of it's an acquired skill that you have to get good at.
Would most of the lads have had an accident, or would some of them have been born? Or is it kind of half and half?
I don't know if accident is the right way of putting it. Some of them have had cancer and stuff. And some people are something has happened. There is some lads obviously who were born with I don't say a birth defect, that's not right, but you know they
different ability.
Yeah, different ability. And that's just the way. That's just the life, the hand that life dealt you.
So those things, it's amazing the attitude that you have to kind of overcome that. Do you know what I mean? Like even just be positive about that kind of
like
stuff.
That is the most impressive thing. Like, you know, when you strip away the competitiveness and, you know, I want to play for Ireland, or we want to win, we want to be national champions in a few weeks. Like that's the goal. I touch wood. I can't wait to say I won the National League. It doesn't matter. But like, it doesn't matter to me how many teams are in the league or how many times we play this. It's like, this is the elite level for them, and this is what I went to go in and say, I'm going to treat you as an elite team, and the way you wanted to be treated as an elite team, because this is the highest level you can play at in this country.
That's what Adam Hills had his first training session. He was like, oh, this can be a piss take, and he was like bait around the pitch, and the physicality of it, they took it so seriously. Like,
that's it.
I'm sure it's
the exact same. But as I say, when you strip away all of that, and you go down to it, it is like, it's incredible that you could be in this position of, as I said, a traumatic experience or just the way you were born, that you then say, right, how can I make the best of this? And that is very inspiring, and absolutely, and you know, it is that. But I think the lads are kind of the one of the mottos of amputee football in Ireland is, we don't want we want to make people say wow and not awe, which is true. And that is the thing. Like, I'm imploring people to come down to games and say like, you know, this is probably one of the most impressive things you'll ever see, and not because it's kind of you being
sympathetic or
or patronising. It's because it is genuinely the skill level and ability of these players is incredible. And when you see, obviously this season probably the highest quality has been Bohs Rovers, but the way the other games have gone, I mean the Cork game, Cork scored an unbelievable goal against us. It's the only goal we've only conceded 2 goals so far this season, and one under my leadership. And the goal Cork got was like they had it kick in, and he chipped at the edge of the box, and your man did this like unbelievable header, like back across, like how he got the strength in his neck muscles, like back across the goal, looped perfectly over Eddie, and it was kind of like it actually made it 2-1 at the time. And I was kind of going, that could give them, it was like, oh, that could give them a real lift, because I mean it was such a good goal, and then James went and scored 2 goals, it was fine. But no, like it's just like some of the stuff, and the way they can actually maneuver their bodies because of the crutches is just unbelievable. Like, you know, you can play a pass that if you know, you would play a pass to Ross in training, that could be like, oh, it's slightly behind him.
That's quite, you know,
but
standard.
He's not going to. You're kind of like, well, he's not going to get to that ball. Because of the way they can maneuver with the crutches, like sometimes a ball that you're going, oh, that's nothing. They're able to turn it into something fantastic because they can like maneuver their bodies. Or even in the Rovers game, there was a corner. We had a corner and it got headed out, and it was looping up in the air. And I was kind of thinking, right, we had 2, hit it, but it was going back towards our goal, and I was kind of thinking we had 2 men there, so we had it covered. And Gary Hoey was our captain. He launched himself into the air. There's actually a picture of it on Sportsfile or something. And he's like in the air, like he's hanging in the air. And he I kind of said to him, Jesus, I thought you were going to make the ball. And he's like, well, I knew I wasn't going to make the ball, but I knew if I put my body in the way in that position, the ball was going to definitely go back to our side because I think whoever was there, Neil was there, the ball was going to go back to Jacko, but Rovers weren't going to get onto it. I was like, geez, fair play. Like, he's just literally thrown his body into the air. Just to either make contact with the ball or to slow the game, slow the Rovers player down, and like it is absolutely incredible.
Touch wood, you win the league now, and so if you win the league, is there qualifiers for the Champions League? Or how does it work?
So this year's Champions League is
UEFA run, is it?
I don't know if it's UEFA run, it might be, but they say they kind of have their own separate, their own association that is associated with the FAI, so it's kind of done within the FAI, but also like their own the Irish Amputee Football Association, so it's kind of like a sister organisation of the FAI, but it is run from within the FAI, kind of itself, like it has its own board and it has its own chairperson and whatnot.
So that would be similar with a UEFA.
And I think there's a European kind of so they all kind of link in, but they have their own branches of things. So the Champions League would be Rovers. I don't know if they've gone to the Champions League yet, or they already went to the Champions League. I think they're going soon enough, or they're supposed to. So if we win the league, we'll qualify for next year's Champions League, and there's a cup competition as well, which Bohs have won before, but they kind of say themselves they've been a bit like Liverpool, whereas they were like they could beat anyone on the day, but it's over an extended period of time. Could they actually do it? So this is what the goal was this year when I went in. They're like, look, we want to win the league. That's what we want to do this year. And I was like, right, well, cool. So we've set to do that, and we're halfway there. And if we maintain the standards and push on, we'll get there. But you know, if we touch wood again, win it. We've got a cup competition in June, and I'd love to do the double because no one's ever done the double before. So to be the first Bohs team to win it, and then to be the first team to do the double would be fantastic.
Not a bad first season.
Not a bad first season at all. And then obviously I said they've got the Euros in September in Poland, and they've got a pretty favourable draw. Off the top of my head, I think it's Russia and like someone else. And they think they have a really good chance, and they've been putting in the work, like going down to Cork.
Good chance to go and win the whole thing.
I don't know if win the whole thing, because Turkey and England are extremely strong. But I think they have a good. The goal is to get out of the group. So that's what they're aiming for. But if you get out of the group, I think it goes. If you win the group, you go into semi-final. So anything can happen then. Like once you're in a knockout game.
So it'll be eight countries go.
I think it's more. I should have looked that up before, but I think it's more. They've been talking about a fair draw, and they've been putting in the hard work. Like as I said, training in Cork and then training in Dublin, and making sure and making sure that they're on the ball and they're at the level that they need to be at and doing everything right. So that's what they're trying to do. Yeah. At the moment.
We did touch on our team earlier on as well.
Mm-hmm.
And we did film a series, obviously well known.
Yes.
On the channel, hopefully you've watched it yourselves. We only ended up doing one episode in the end of Sunday League of Ireland.
Thank God.
Possibly something we could look to get back into.
Yeah, definitely. I think we should, to be honest. I think there was actually more anticipation for it, and then when it actually came out, people really reacted well to it as well. And then, we just didn't do a second episode. It was just so long. It was like a real hard.
The hardest thing about it was keeping track of all the footage. Like I think the best way of doing it would be to do it as kind of like a weekly show, nearly like having
you'd have to
like
kind
a training session and
get it out.
So it's just once a week. Like,
it is one of those
even
things.
like last year,
we had a mountain of footage.
Like Luke actually filmed like most games last year, and then regardless of if he lost the footage, which he did, but like it's ridiculously hard to filter through all of that. You know what I mean? Because after a game, you're sitting home, and you literally have to, filter through 90 minutes of. And I'm like pretty horrific football. Like at the best to say, at the best of times. Like
it takes so long sometimes for like a goalkeeper to take a kick out.
Oh, I know you're sitting there going, "Come on!"
For God's sake,
I know. I was doing the video on the first team, Malahide first team, at the start of the season for a while, and like
they're top of the league.
They're top of the league, and in the intermediate cup semi-final, and it was just like you're trying to pick out the best bits or the bits that are good for analysis and go, okay, what happened here? But like it is, like you said, just sitting there like waiting for where's the second ball coming on, like, and it's like, jeez, get through this, like, come on. So you're flying through
the ball in the bushes.
Yeah, it's like, come on, like, let's get through it. But no, it is very good. Now, I have to say, it was a very enjoyable episode. Even if like I looked, I was like, oh. And that was the thing. Like I was, if we want to talk about our team and Sunday League of Ireland, it was one of those things that. I can't even remember how I got involved or who said. I think Michael Keane said it to me. Mikey, I said, Mikey, Brían, I'll do it. Or I said, I do it. Kind of like not thinking anything would happen from it. Always kind of wanted to do coaching, but never really had the opportunity to do it. And it came up.
Because you're coaching too.
I know, and it kind of came up. And then, to be honest with you, at times it was shit. Like you guys know, last year it was shit. It was just completely shit. We were getting beaten every week. We didn't have the numbers. I didn't know what I was doing. It was all just. I didn't emotionally probably wasn't mature enough to kind of handle a lot of the situations. Such a young team, and there were just a large group of friends and a lot of things.
That's what it was. Because when we started off, that's what it was set up as. It was set up as our mates, and we were looking like join a football team and stuff. And at the start, when we actually first started to look, it was literally like a group chat of like 30 lads in our year. Do you know what I mean? So you've got like all those personalities, you know what I mean? And then Mikey was like, Brían will manage it. And I'm pretty sure we were also like, because like Tig was trying to take the training sessions that same. Well, you but like you need someone from like an outside perspective. You know what I mean?
No, Tig did say to me at the start, he was like, I was like, it's hard it is hard, especially if you were within the group, to kind of say, I'm picking a team this week, and then like your mate's like, I don't want to leave that fella because he'd be really upset. So like to come in and to be honest with you, like it was such a baptism of fire, and whatever I do from now on in my coaching life, because I'm still in my 20s, like I could go anywhere, I suppose.
I was actually going to ask you about your aspirations.
But like in terms of like wherever I go and whatever I do, I'll say last year and part of this year, so much stuff and scenarios were thrown at me to deal with that it was almost the perfect baptism of fire. And like I did a lot of things wrong. Like I did so many things wrong, like just terrible. Like, and I look back on, what were you doing? And that has been brilliant, because I've gone, okay, well, don't do that again. That's simple. And I've made mistakes this year, and I have, and everything's a learning curve. If you're not learning and moving,
managers, they make mistakes.
If you're not learning and moving forward,
I think even like getting like some of the older lads this year, because like literally last year, oldest lad in the team was Dara Brady, who's like
20.
He's like at the time he was 21. Like he's 97, and even get some of the older lads definitely helped. Because you need like I mean. In a group of like 20 lads who are all in the same year, you're not like you might have like one or two like leaders, but you're not gonna have like a proper. When you get someone who's like 35, no messing about.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, okay, like.
But that was it.
All the lads being together is like you all know each other and you'll go to the end for each other. But then on the other hand, there might be a bit biased towards some players, and there might be like fights within the group. And it can work both ways.
And there's also, as you say, you'll go all the way for the lads, but you'll also go, I don't need to go all the way for the lads because they're still my mates, and if I don't do it, it doesn't really matter. Whereas when it's people you don't really know and you're not friends with, like when it's people you don't know and you're not friends with, you don't want to let them down because you're like, oh, fuck, I don't want that person who I don't know to get a bad impression. And that's been like a major, but also like people have grown up. Like everyone's grown up. I've done this a year older. People know me a bit more. But like, you know, the attitude of everyone, and I could pick out, I could pick out a few people. I won't, but you know, like, no, it'd be unfair. But like my relationships with people have improved. You know, so much. They're so much better now because I understand how that person works and they understand how I work, and there's a respect there that maybe lacks last year because I was just coming in being like, and they were just like, well, what's your problem, like, and kind of thing, and this year you've gone, and again there's been times where we've had arguments, and I think there was an argument at half time the other day, one of the older lads, but it was just I was just trying to get the point across, and his point wasn't
game you shouldn't be doing
exactly, but you know that's it. The discussions and the arguments that we've had this year have been all extremely constructive, whereas last year it was just like, I just want to take everyone down a peg and they just want to take me down a peg, and it was like this constant battle.
It's like a power
real power struggle, and whereas this year it's like, oh, actually we want the teams to move together forward together as a unit, and we've
everything's better when you're winning games, and
absolutely,
this season we've been winning a lot more games.
We're in a false position as well. I think like we've had a lot of games where it's a horrible term to use, I hate using it, but like small margins in a lot of games, then numbers has probably been an issue around.
There's been two things. There's been two things, as you just said. Numbers is one of them. Numbers is the thing, and that just comes, as I said last year, it's the same. The nature of the team, and yes, we brought in older lads, but it's still quite young. But when you have lads, especially your age, you've got college and jobs and life generally gets in the way. Like you see the older lads like Paul and stuff and Rob, and okay, they're in different stages of life. They're getting married and having kids and stuff, but it's almost not that it's an escape for them, but it is like a kind of you're more inclined to be at that age to want to go and play football because you don't get the time that you have now at the age that you're at. And I'll tell you that myself. Like I don't want to ruin your friendship, but you're not going to see each other as much as you do right now.
When you compare to school.
Like you see how much has changed then. It's going to be even different. It's going to be even more different when you're a bit older, and it's kind of like, okay, so you make the, not that you're not making the effort, but you're like, okay, I have to go. Whereas like when you're at this age that you're at, you're not always going to be able to get there, and that's fine. And that's been the thing that's not let us down, but that's been a massive hindrance this year. It's gone, if we had the numbers in this game, I would have been able to freshen things up and bring him on here or bring him on there, and that would have made a difference. And the other thing has been, and maybe it is to do with that, is players' tiredness and stuff, is just individual errors have cost us. And everyone makes them. It's across the board. It's not just one person. It's everyone's made a mistake. But I had to say for the lads, if they listen to this, or for you guys, like the difference this year has just been that everyone kind of has a bit of respect for each other, for themselves, and for me.
Wants to do well.
Well.
We've got a lot of players that have left since the start of the first time we started playing. So like the people that are here now, there's a reason that they're still kind of still hanging.
Well, but like even that, people who left for various reasons, just it's not that they didn't want to do it, or they didn't feel like they had to leave. But people, life gets in the way, and like Mark, who left this year, he just it just wasn't working out for him, and that's fine. These things happen, but
Mark left too much.
the show goes on.
I want to get Mark on a podcast actually.
It'd be great. It'd be brilliant. Man is brilliant. I went to see Glentoran with him. Brilliant fella. Knows his shit.
I have to run.
Yeah. Okay.
It's my if we're still recording this, it's my brother's birthday. He's only 15. So he's 15. But like.
No, you're not coming off.
You're doing an assignment this week. It's a birthday.
Fuck off.
Let's get you over there.
See you later, lads.
See you later. Yeah. Griff's the one that ruined it.
Joking.
Yeah. So but Malahide is an absolute, is great. What was the thing you wanted to ask about? on my aspirations. Was it?
I was going to ask you kind of like, because obviously like it is a step up.
Yeah.
So like, is it like
Football and with the girlfriend.
Very true.
And you were saying about the previous Bohs Amputee manager is now the Malahide first team manager. Is that right?
Yeah, like Ger is the first team manager of Malahide, and Ronan, who was the manager last year, is manager of the Bohs under-19s.
Okay.
So he's a step up. Like, to be honest with you, I don't really know what kind of
It's going to come in the future.
what's going to come in the future. Like I worked previously in a role that was kind of around like kind of coaching at a corporate level for like Fernando's. So, when Fernando's, I was like a trainer, so I'd train people on what we did and how to run a restaurant basically, and that was a great role. I loved it, and then I left that and went to work for Bohs Sports, and I was basically just doing football. And I was kind of like, I really liked the training aspect of that job, and I really liked the football aspect of this job. And then when I started coaching, I was like, wow, this is kind of both things kind of together. And if I can get this right, maybe there is a career in it. I don't know. Like, I'm not going to say I'm going to be Ireland manager in 10 years. I
Never know.
never know. But like, no, if the opportunity came up, like I'm kind of looking at maybe doing, like my coaching badges. Obviously, my UEFA B level is next. You need to apply for that, and I think I've got about 6 months left before I can apply for that.
You have to have your C for a certain amount of time. Yeah,
so you get given when you do your C license. So everything is kind of builds up to your D license, is the first national D license, but you'll have done loads of workshops and loads of kind of seminars prior to that, and then you do your D license, which is a day course, and you kind of do a couple of assignments based on that. You get your D license, and then you can apply for your C license, which is like a 4 or 5 day course, and you're in every single day 9 to 5.
So Abbottstown, or
I was in Abbottstown for that, and you're like, it's completely different level to the deal. It's tough going, and every night you've got a different assignment to go home and do, and then you just come in and show it with a group of players the next day, and they're stopping you and going through here, and then so you go off and you do a series of assignments for like 2 months, and then you go to your final assessment day, which was in Crumlin, and it was really, really interesting. And then you get given, so basically what happens is you'll be given your C license, but you'll also be given what you're looking for is a recommendation of how long you should wait before you're going for your B license, which can be anywhere from 1 year to 5 years. Okay. So you want to obviously be on the lower scale, and I got 18 months, which I was delighted with, because I was like, the last thing you want is like 3 years, and
and that's you have to wait that.
It's not you have to. Like, I could apply now, but you're applying to the FAI, so they know you're applying to the same coaching education system. They gave you an 18-month recommendation, so you're better off waiting, because if you go after 6 months, they go, well, what have you acted on the recommendations that they gave you? Because they don't just say wait 18 months. They say you need to work with, as I said earlier, you need to work with an elite team, and I've kind of feel like I've gone and done that, but so my next thing is kind of, it's expensive as well. I'm not gonna lie to you, it's pretty expensive. So I'm kind of saying, right, when do I want to do my B license? Do I want to do it here? Do I want to go and do it somewhere else? It's a year-long course here, whereas up north to do it in just a week, and then you do loads of assignments on top of it. So I don't really know what the future holds in terms of on football, but at the moment, I think I'm just kind of, and to be really cliche about it, I'm just kind of enjoying what's happening. And that's the most important thing. Because if you're not enjoying what you're doing, there's no point in doing it. So
100%.
That's the most important thing.
You previously did have a YouTube channel yourself, where you kind of was it interviewing fans after Ireland matches and stuff like that?
Yeah, bit of.
So where did you get the idea?
It was similar enough to this, like kind of going to matches and talking about it. It was me and Nick lived together at the time, and we had a really perfect L-shaped couch here in an apartment and all. It was great, and doing interviews and just kind of generally making videos talking about Ireland, because that's one of our passions is Irish football and the Ireland team, and we really enjoyed doing it. And
the videos were genuinely fantastic. You got some great views, and what was it kind of led to that kind of stopping?
I got the job at Bohs Sports on the back of that, and it is kind of one of those things where when you're spending all day just talking about football, I never really got it. I explained at the time when Andy Carroll and stuff, I was like, I don't really watch football. I'm like, how can you not watch football? You're a footballer. You're a footballer. He doesn't watch any football. He talks about going, when he signed for Liverpool, that he was on the way down, he was Googling who played for Liverpool. He didn't know. He knew Steven Gerrard and Jamie Carragher, and beyond that he didn't know anyone. And I was like, how can you not love football? I love football. you play football, surely you love football. And he was like, no, his reasoning was when he played football all day, every day, and it was like all he felt that he was. So when he was away from playing football and with his friends and with his family, like the last thing he wanted to be doing was sitting around talking about football. And the last thing I wanted to do after working 9 to 5:30 all day looking at football was go home and then make my own videos for football. It's like I have other interests outside of that. I have a girlfriend, and I have
some of the stories you hear about Andy Carroll. But that's it. I'm a bit like,
I had other things that I wanted to do aside from that, and that's why we kind of stopped the Bar Schoolers, because I just didn't have the time.
Great name for a channel.
Yeah, great name. We just you can have it if you want. It was just that I just didn't couldn't find the energy to really do it after a long day. And also it kind of wrapped up with, I was beyond devastated after the 5-1 game was the last video really covered, and I just remember I actually didn't even want to look at football for months afterwards. So it kind of suited me, I suppose, to not really be doing it.
Was that me, Ross and Ty, when there was 3 of us?
The
Denmark, and we were celebrating loads when we scored, and then after that I was like, shit, might have scored 2 really.
It was the worst day of my life. Honestly, it was the worst.
And then we all know what happened.
I was in Copenhagen the few days before, and there was a real sense of
bit of buzz.
Yeah, and after the first game, I was like, we didn't think they were up to much. It was a real chance here, and then we scored, obviously.
5 minutes in.
Yeah, and it was amazing, and I was actually sitting away from him.
Where were you sitting?
I was sitting in the east stand by myself, in the lower east stand by myself.
It's so hard to get tickets for that.
I know, yeah. And I had a season ticket, and then I hadn't renewed it for whatever reason. I can't remember why at the time. I don't know what the crack was, and I ended up getting a ticket away from the rest of Kevin and a few of my mates. So I was kind of by myself, but it was actually ended up all the lads beside me were kind of by themselves as well. So we were all right, obviously. And I was like, they're like, where are your mates? I was like, over there. And mine are up there, kind of thing. So we're like, we're all in this together, kind of thing. And we're all here for the same thing.
Exactly.
So, I've never been in a situation where, and not just at a football game, where the life and the atmosphere has been sucked out of a room so quickly than the first and the second goal. Like when that ball, he was right in front of me when he hit that ball, and it bounced off the crossbar and went in. It was just like silence, like absolute silence, and no, and everyone was like, "Oh my god!" Like, what? Oh no!
Yeah.
And then it was kind of like, I remember at halftime going out to meet the lads, and we were like, "Okay, well, we scored once against them. We can score 2 more." And I was kind of going, "Do you know what? Yeah, there's no reason why we can't." And then we saw them coming out for the second half, and they'd brought both centre midfielders off. I was like, wait, who's going to play midfield? Why have we just decided? But all we needed to do was just stay in the game until 65th, 70th minute, and then just start going for it. But
similar to the match in it was November. Matt Doherty scored with 5 minutes to go, and you were like, oh, possibly, if you just stay in it. As long as
I was convinced that day.
We're going to win.
Yeah. Not we were going to win. I thought we were going to lose, but I was actually I thought we were going to draw, but convinced after Doherty scored for that next 10 minutes, whatever it was, 5 minutes of normal time, the 5 minutes of injury time. I was like, we're going to score here.
Me too.
And I was looking. My season tickets in the third row as south stand, and I was like, I'm going to punch that steward in the back of the head, and I'm going to run onto the pitch. And that was it. I'm never going to be allowed to go to an Ireland game ever again, but it'll be so worth it for this moment.
I think McGoldrick had a half chance that he kind of sliced over the bar after that. And then it was, they shut up shop.
Yeah. No, to be fair, we didn't do enough in that game, and we didn't do enough in the campaign, considering the position we were in, to qualify. We got a good result in Denmark, and I was there, and it was great. We actually should have won the game in the end.
Is that Georgia match the way they killed us?
Georgia match killed us, but also what's overlooked is the Switzerland game. We were terrible in the Switzerland game, and McGoldrick got the goal, and it was like, oh great. But I remember coming out, and there was lads saying, "What a great result that is." And I'm going, no, it's not. That's a bad result. I was in Switzerland. I got the home game as well. The home game in September.
Did I see you in Geneva?
No, we didn't. Use her in the corner in that gay bar, and I was in the other. And
I wasn't the only one.
Yeah. No, you were sitting in front of us, weren't you?
Were we?
Remember? Yeah,
I had a few points on me. I won't lie.
I think you were sitting in the row, just by chance you were sitting in the row ahead of me. I think so.
Yeah, you were in there, Ireland end.
Yeah. I think
That's
so.
bad.
Actually,
I think I bumped into you in the city or something.
I can't. I just honestly that day's a bit of a blur. But the home game we were just bad. We weren't good. We didn't move the ball enough. Switzerland were there for the taking, and they got a bad goal. Your man ran the entire he ran from the the halfway line. Yeah, and he got the ball and it 1-2 at the edge of the box. You can't play 1-2 at the edges on this box and then score. Yeah, and then there was lads coming out going, great result there. No, it's not. Now we have to go and get a result in Switzerland. And then even the Switzerland game away, Mick McCarthy's like, oh, we don't need to go for the victory because we're playing Denmark at home. Yeah, and we need to beat Denmark at home. We haven't done that in years. What, I don't understand this. If this is a free shot, let's go for it. Yeah. But I remember halfway through the first half in that game, and James McLean was terrible in that game. He was so bad, and we were just whatever system we were playing.
Hendrick too.
Yeah, everyone was bad. I think Glenn Whelan was the best player. And halfway through the second half or the first half, someone turned to me and went, "Is James Collins playing left wing?" And I was like, "There's no way James Collins is playing left wing." And I said, "What are we doing? What's the plan?" Now it's not necessarily Mick's fault because Mick has been brought in for as an in-between, and he's like, well, my only thing is I'm here to be efficient and try and get results. I'm not here to try and play good football and set it up. That's Kenny's job. And I'm supposed to be going to Slovakia in a few weeks. Now, not going to Slovakia in a few weeks, but
did you have anything booked? You weren't going
to the whole thing booked. Everything booked. No, I was able to cancel my hotel for free. I got my train tickets. We were flying to Vienna.
Okay.
And then getting the train down, but we got the money back, and then I have travel insurance, luckily.
So you're all covered.
So I'm all covered, yeah. So it's not the end of the world.
This afternoon.
Yeah. So it's not a surprise, really. In look, these things are more important than a football match.
Yeah. How much of an impact do you think it's going to have on the game itself?
I think it's going to level the playing field in a way.
Yeah.
Because it's a completely alien environment now for everyone.
Such a strange thing, yeah.
So anything can happen, really. I'm really interested to see the game now. I was kind of a bit like, I didn't think. Now, the other thing is, we don't actually need to win the game. We just need to get through the game.
Mm-hmm.
So extra time and penalties. So it doesn't really matter if we don't win the game as such. Ireland have never really won games. I was watching that documentary on RTE last night.
It's brilliant, wasn't it?
It was brilliant. It's like Ireland didn't win a single game at that. They drew 4 times.
Irish really
drew 4 times and got to World Cup quarter-finals. That's all we need to do is draw against the Slovaks and then see what happens in extra time and penalties.
There's a funny story coming on from Geneva. It was me, Paul and Ty in Geneva airport waiting for the flight, and we were just chatting about the game, and geez, McLean was shy, wasn't he? Yeah. Hendrick was shy, wasn't he? Yeah. 30 seconds later, the whole Irish team walked by us, and Ty was talking about the match. He said, behind you. He's like, what are you talking about? James McLean. The lad standing right behind him. Didn't hear anything, but you want to be careful what you were saying.
I'll tell you another story about Ireland. Is Nick, who's Mr. Menezes to you.
Patsman,
and Nick hated Paul McShane. Hated Paul McShane, right? He went on and on about how much he hated Paul McShane in the Trapattoni area. And he's like, oh no, I hate McShane. I hate him. Every game. Even if he wasn't playing, he'd still talk about how he hated McShane. And McShane was at fault for the Henry goal, which he kind of was.
And the officials.
Yeah, and the officials, but in terms of the ball getting there, McShane should have done better. But one day, Nick rang me yesterday when Ireland were training up in Malahide. This is years ago. And he rang me and he's like, you're never going to believe what's just happened. And I said, what? He goes, I was in the gym. And I said, okay. And he goes, and I had a bench and I went over to get something and I turned around and guess who'd stolen my bench? I was like, he goes, Paul McFucking Shane. It was just like the perfect kind of end. This, I don't think McShane played for Ireland again. It was nothing to do with Nick, obviously. But it was just the perfect kind of that's brilliant. You talking for so many years about how much you hated him, and then he took your bench. Not even took his bench, he took your towel off of that bench, and then just started using it himself.
I think it was Ty, one of the lads in the year has a great story about he was kind of finding his way in the gym and starting off, and he went up to a machine or something, and someone was on it, so he was waiting for him to finish, like Robbie Keane. What would you do? Like?
Yeah.
He's like, sorry mate, can you?
Lowers the rate.
If we're going to talk about actually Robbie Keane and the Ireland setup, is one of the things that annoys me the most with the current Ireland setup is not that Robbie Keane's a coach, because he must be in high demand. He's at Middlesbrough and they're doing a sort of okay job, given the circumstances they're in. But and I think there's a bit of financial trouble at the club as well, so they're doing okay. But what annoys me most is that after an Ireland training session, Robbie Keane puts up an Instagram story of him scoring about 6 goals in training. I'm like, that's not what you were there for.
You know who does that every day? John Terry.
I don't follow. I just don't get it. I'm just like, no, this is not your role, right?
Yeah.
Your role is to coach the team, not you.
Like
Doing a fucking somersault after you score a goal in training. Actually, I tell the story all the time. The best goal I've ever seen was scored by Paddy Kenny in an Ireland training session once in Malahide.
Sure.
Well, I was playing like under 12 or under 13s, and we were supposed to play Shamrock Rovers in a game for Malahide, and we got up there, and then Rovers never showed up, so we were just kind of like watching the Ireland game, or watching the Ireland train, and Packy Bonner was coming over and kind of chatting to us, because it was just us and the Ireland team, like the media weren't even there, and we were kind of chatting away.
What year was this?
Oh, it's probably 2005-ish,
Okay.
maybe. And we were kind of watching them, and they were playing a little mini game, and so the 3 goalkeepers were Dean Kiley, Shay Given and Paddy Kenny, and Kenny was playing outfield to make up the numbers, and he got the ball on the right hand side and he did a Cruyff turn and then did a Rabona into the far top corner, and everyone was like, he turned around and was just like, and the Ireland players were like, oh my god, like if it was obviously they didn't record they didn't record sessions at the time, it was a bit too early for that, but I'd say like it would have been all over social media now. It was unbelievable. Crazy. And they were that was great actually, because then when we were leaving, they all like chatting away, and Shay Given gave his gloves to our goalkeeper Heffa at the time, and was like, and then we were asking loads of people for, we were like, come in for boots, and like, I've only had the one pair, like, come on, like. But no, that was great, and especially to have them down in the club for so long was really good. So got a bit sidetracked there, but there you go.
We used to work the odd time Wednesday after school, and they'd all be there. So amazing opportunity.
No, it was great, and they were so like
very kind.
My grandmother, who Ross now was a massive Manchester City fan, and she loves football.
2009.
Oh, but this is going back 50 years. Like, she's a massive City fan, and we were down one day, and Richard Dunn was the only. I must have been 2004, 2005-ish again, and Richard Dunn was the only Irish player in the City thing. She had a Man City scarf, and like she got a picture with him, and he was really nice and kind of chatting away and all. And it was just like, oh, this is so nice for her to get to meet a Man City player and all this, and yeah, no, it was great that they were so local, and as you say, going after school and just going down, and then seeing them around the village and stuff and whatnot. I think before Euro 2012 was great, because like they were just. I don't know if the camp, whatever way they did the camp, worked out. It seemed very kind of claustrophobic, and they had a bit of cabin fever, but they were just always around Malahide, just chatting away, which is great.
Lewandowski there this summer as well.
Yeah, Lewandowski there this summer would be interesting too. Well, we definitely don't have a chance of getting on that pitch now. I mean,
just be dicey at the door.
Exactly. But like that's why it's brilliant that like the club. Obviously, we're speaking Malahide now, but like obviously it's brilliant that the club have those facilities, and we're able to use them, and people like Poland want to come and train there. And
it's been very good over the years. Off the top of my head, like Villa, Portsmouth,
MK Dons,
and boy for Aston Villa, and Ashley Young at the time was fantastic.
Really nice.
Yeah, so
it's great. Like I remember,
Mark O'Neill, I think, was with Villa.
Linfield's trained there once, and I don't know why I just remember this sticks to me. But Rob Brennan, who was on our team, he was the grounds like keeper, like he used to lock up and all during the day for years, and he was like, they was just like Linfield were there, and they were like couldn't get over how like good the facilities were and all that. It's brilliant. No, it is, and obviously we're getting very Malahide centric here, but it's just the club that we're involved
very
in.
Lucky, like,
and it's been great to see. But in terms of the Slovakia game, to go back to what we were talking about, as I said, we don't need to win the game, we just need to get through it. It's leveled the playing field somewhat, that there's going to be no crowd at it. It's an alien atmosphere for kind of all of them, but it shouldn't really be, because
so strange,
they've all grown up playing games in front of no one. So
and even training games.
Yeah, but training games and all, So I don't know, I think it'll level the playing field. I think one of the advantages, and this sounds bad, is that James Coleman isn't available, so Doherty has to play.
Yeah.
Would you have Doherty if both were available?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Like he's been the best Ireland player.
It's hard to accommodate both of them as well, isn't it? It's tricky.
Yes and no, but like I would. I know Coleman's the team captain, but like I would have played a 3-5-2 system that had Coleman in behind him. Yeah, that's one of the three centre backs with Duffy. That's always been doing it.
You have to pick the team on form. Like
you can't just pick a player going, well, he's been the Ireland captain for a few years, and he's obviously he was extremely good, but like Mark Doherty on a different level to most Ireland players.
Season of his life. He's Premier League moment.
Season of his life. He was brilliant last season as well, and like he's just been a constant goal threat. He's been playing in a really, really good Wolves team that are on the verge of maybe qualifying for the Champions League. And they're doing really well in the Europa League. So there's no reason why someone like Matt Doherty shouldn't be being picked for Ireland. Even like Jason Malumbi scored last week a great goal against Nottingham Forest.
Would you maybe have him in ahead of Whelan?
Absolutely. Whelan, to be fair, no, absolutely not. Like Whelan is a.
He's in League One though.
League One, he's a linchpin though of the Ireland team for like 10 years, and people trust him. Like
that's it.
As the many years I give out about him,
kind of thing,
people always seem to. O'Neill's trusted him, Trapattoni trusted him, McCarthy's trusted him, bring him back in. He's obviously done. Yeah, he seems like the ultimate professional, and he's the player's player as such. He'll do donkey's work. You don't really see it in the fans. They've kind of started to appreciate it in the last year or two because he's come in and done a job, but like it doesn't look like anything Malumbi can't do. Now he hasn't done for Ireland over an extended period of time, but
does he have a senior cap?
He's got one. I think it was against New Zealand, maybe.
He's a fantastic player for.
Looks great.
Like on Bridget playoffs in the championship as well.
He scored a really good goal last week. So there's no reason why he can't.
Dodgy celebration,
but there's no reason why he can't do it. I think it'll be Whelan, it'll be Hendrick. I don't know if McLean will recover in time, so I don't think McLean will play. It'd be interesting to see who plays in midfield or what way they go about it. They'll probably play 4-4-2 or. It's hard to know. McGoldrick's not really been playing that much. Sheffield United been out injured a little bit, and the other thing is Hogan's all of a sudden started banging them in. Now I don't know if that's going to translate to playing for Ireland, but.
Shane Long's been playing a lot of football.
Shane Long's playing football. The squad, there's going to be no provisional squad. Which is great.
Yeah,
I hate that.
It's just a 23.
It's just 23. So.
What strikers do you bring? Like any of the young lads?
Obafemi definitely goes. Long goes. McGoldrick goes. Robinson and Hogan. Yeah, I think you have to pick Hogan. He's scoring like 5-6 goals. Connolly's in and out of the team. I think Ida hasn't been involved at all, so I think it'd be wrong to bring him in now.
Nations League possibly.
But at the under 21s of a game, I think against Iceland. So it's more important that they play there and play, because look, if McCarthy loses, that's it for him. He's done, and then we have to look to the future, and it's more important that these players are getting experience in the system that Kenny's obviously going to bring forward. It will be interesting to see who from the current senior setup fits into Kenny's system or how he goes about it. That's what I'm most looking forward to the Nations League.
When will they have the 23? Like a week before?
I think it's next week. Yeah, should be some point.
In a 4-4-2, Long and McGoldrick could be an absolute handful, wouldn't it? Pair them.
It would, yeah. Probably lack of goals.
It's for a one-off game kind of thing.
One-off game, and as you said, you don't have to win the game. You just have to
get
through the game.
Absolutely. And touch on the midfield as well. James McCarthy's been playing a lot of football this season.
McCarthy has, and playing consistent.
Of course, he's been playing a lot. Horan. So it's actually, and Whelan in the mix there. So it's hard to know.
It's hard to know, but it's hard to know. But at the same time, there's an obvious, not obvious, but for McCarthy, there's kind of obvious.
Tried and trusted.
Yeah, tried and trusted. Yeah. He knows what he wants. Now, is there a need to probably change it up after the last 5-6 years? Absolutely.
Yeah.
But
he needs the result.
This isn't the game to do it in probably McCarthy's.
It doesn't have to be pretty.
McCarthy's justification will be, well, this isn't the game to try it out.
Yeah.
That's for Stephen Kenny to do in September. It's not for me. I'm brought in here, as I said, for one reason. That's to get this team to get results.
I was talking with a couple of lads there. Have you heard anything about, like, if McCarthy gets us to the Euros, is there going to be a discussion about whether he takes us in the Euros? Or
he is going to take us in the Euros.
Is that
so his contract is until the Euros finishes.
Okay.
So as soon as the Euros finishes, whether we're there or not,
Because I think it's better for Kenny to start off.
Yeah.
A bit less
Now I
pressure
think there's
and
talk
things,
of will Kenny take if we don't qualify. There's obviously friendly set up.
like better if Kenny takes from there.
Yeah, I
as
think
well.
we've a friendly in Thomond Park to be announced.
Yeah.
At some point, in kind of late May, early June.
Mhm.
So I was like, okay, does McCarthy take that or does Kenny take that kind of thing?
Our podcast the other day, I said hopefully the Aviva will be rocking in June. Next day, found out it was in Thomond Park.
Yeah. So I don't know. You know, like I wonder, because we're all talking about the Slovakia game. Obviously, going to take one game at a time, but it's then to go to Bosnia or Northern Ireland. More than likely, touch wood. And that's, I don't know, care. But will be Bosnia, but they're not up to much either. They just have a goal
even
threat.
if
and
it is
Dzeko, like.
in either of them countries, could be still behind closed doors.
Yeah.
So.
So
Northern Ireland behind.
it probably would
Yeah,
be behind closed doors.
Yeah,
Anyway.
yeah.
Let's be honest. But no, I don't know whether we'll. I think we might get through the Slovakia game. I don't know. I think that the next game might be a bit
Tough.
too much, but it'd be what the FAI they'd reap what they sow, and the old guard put so much emphasis on Ireland qualifying for this tournament because we're hosting someone with it. It would be karma to not qualify, and it would be a massive kick in the teeth. But for certain individuals, for the fans, it wouldn't be great. For the group of players, maybe it wouldn't be great. But for football as a whole, it's kind of something probably deserved to not qualify for something. For the the big event that's going to be hosted here, because there's just been so much stupid shit going on in Irish football for the last 10 years, and hopefully we're on the cusp of something great, and not just on the field but off the field. But you can't look past going, we've rode our luck plenty of times in the last 10 years and stuff, so and maybe this is the time that it comes back to haunt us, so.
We are just going to finish off on a bit of a Q&A, if that's
Oh, yeah, that's perfect, yeah.
We did ask on Instagram for your questions, so I'm actually not sure on the quality of these questions at all.
Just
so
throw them at me.
I'm going to shout some out and see what happens. Let's see what's happening here. Wonder if these are going to be more League of Ireland based or whether they're just kind of...
I can tell you my League of Ireland predictions right now. Rovers win the league. No, Dundalk win the league.
Bohs are
Dundalk win the league. Rovers finish second. Bohs finish third. Cork go down.
Robbers win the league, you say?
No, I said that first, but Dundalk.
Yeah.
Dundalk over the course. I've no point. I've no issue saying that. It's a bit like in Scotland. Rangers can beat Celtic, but can they consistently beat everyone else? No.
Yeah.
Rovers can beat Dundalk, but I
It's
don't
good-
think they
good way
can
of
consistently beat
I
everyone
was
else.
thinking as well, if Jack Byrne goes to the Euros, how bad will that be for Shamrock Rovers during their season as well?
Well, there's the gap
Is there a
of
gap?
there's a
Is
2-3
there-
week kind of
Would he miss a
break.
couple game maybe, or-
Yeah, he could miss a couple of
Yeah.
games. Depends on
Yeah.
if he gets included in the squad or whatnot. But to be fair to Rovers, I think they're a bit more than Byrne this year.
Absolutely,
They have
no,
a few more kind
Just
of.
say he's
He's obviously a massive part of what they do, but I just don't think they have the consistency over a season.
Do you see him getting a move to maybe the Championship?
Maybe, but I don't know if he's interested in it.
Yeah, he's happy.
He seems happy.
Yeah.
He might want to play out this season because they're
He's
obviously
linked with some huge clubs.
yeah,
Leeds stuff,
and they're in the
so-
Europa League in
Yeah.
July, and he might want to say, right, I want to play him a trade there.
Yeah.
And he's got a whole summer then if he plays the Europa League, and then we go from there. Sure,
Yeah.
we shall see.
First question from Kyle Foreman. He asks, what does the FAI need to do to get the league competing to qualify for European competitions?
That's pretty straightforward, I think, in terms of money.
Yeah.
It's about running the league properly. It's about having a proper calendar where teams aren't forced to play. Like, I think it was last year, Sligo Rovers didn't play a game for like 6 weeks. Didn't play a home game for like 3 months, and it was all, it was all up in the air. But if you look at the quality of the likes of Rovers and Dundalk there a few weeks ago, it was an unbelievable game of football.
Yeah.
Shell's Bowls wasn't a great game the other day, but yeah, it's about getting the marketing right, getting the money being put into it right, making sure that
more games on TV.
more games on TV. The clips are widely available.
It's terrible.
Soccer
Yeah.
book is awful.
It's a half an hour, isn't it?
Yeah, they should. It's very formulaic. Like, this is all we can do, because they kind of limit themselves. Like, this is the limit of what we can do.
Yeah.
I'd stream the games on YouTube. I'd have it, everywhere. You saw how big that Jordan Flores clip was.
Absolutely.
There's so much potential, but
Yeah.
there's not a black and white answer to this, but it is all revolves around money. That's the key thing.
Yeah. Gerard Losker asks who will win the title race. We've already answered that. Bohs fan page asks, do you think Chris Twardek will be able to keep up his form? He's had so far. So he's obviously the new
yes. There's no reason why he can't.
Yeah, he's won player of the month. He's been fantastic so far. He's been probably one of the signings of the season, really.
The freedom he's been given is brilliant, and for Bohs, it's a massive advantage to not have a lot. I think last year there was a massive dependence on Mandrew to kind of go and do it, and that was kind of in the cup semi final against Rovers. It was kind of like Mandrew had an off day, and it felt like Bohs had an off day because he had an off day. Whereas now there's another attacking option, that can do it, and there's no reason why Twardek can't go. I mean, he was brilliant. Like he's just been absolutely fantastic. But there's no reason why he can't maintain his standards he set so far. Now he probably
international.
There's a chance that, or not chance, but it is likely that he'll have a dip and he'll come back up, and it's about maintaining that consistency. And there's no reason at the moment to suggest that he won't, because even like little things that he does, that header back across for Andre Wright's goal on a Friday was brilliant. Like little things like that. Doesn't have to. I'm not going to go and expect him to run 90 minutes of a game every game for the rest of the season, but if you continue doing the little goods, the small good stuff that he has been doing so far this season, no reason why he can't.
You mentioned Andrew there. I think he's going to have a similar kind of campaign to the one obviously he burst onto the scene last year, really. So
again, like I just said there about Twardek, maybe a bit of the pressure off Mandrew is going to allow him to blossom. Because I think maybe he felt a little bit like, as I said there, I have to have a good game, otherwise Bohs don't have a good game. Whereas if that pressure's slightly taken off him, he's got a little bit more freedom and less pressure on his back. Absolutely no reason why he shouldn't.
Not sure how much you know about the first division, but Carolyn Owen asks who's winning the first division this season.
It looks like Bray at the moment.
There's a few teams out the side.
Yeah, it's an interesting kind of league. I've kind of not really, to be honest with you, I haven't in the last few years.
Did you hear, actually, just sorry to interrupt you, but there's actually two 15-year-olds for Bray at the moment that are playing for him, and they're signing for Brighton in the summer.
Oh really?
Yeah, really? It's crazy. Like they're two really hot.
But that's the kind of thing. Like the first division is one of those things that kind of just keep an eye on track on how it's going or whatnot, and kind of like last year's kind of following Shells a bit, not as a supporter, just see how they were doing, because
big club.
Well, a club. So I was kind of interested to see that, but it looks very even enough this year. Camptini looked decent. From what I've seen, Drogheda, I think Bray though just look from what I've seen so far and it's just kind of clips here and there, but they seem to be the ones that I would back if it was me.
Yeah, and then there's one from Darragh Rogers who do you think will get relegated?
Cork, terrible.
Different terrible stuff. Just a high turnover as well.
And they say themselves, like, they nearly went bust there a few weeks ago again. So
so tough for them.
Really. They'll get the odd result here and there, like the Finn Harps game, but
because Finn Harps look solid, like they're a bit more kind of solid. Like
that since the mid-season break last year, Finn Harps have only conceded like 2 goals at home.
That was until last Friday.
Last Friday, yeah.
But before that they didn't bring any at home.
It's just unbelievable.
It's a tough place to go, remember? If you score,
it's a long way away.
It's a horrible trip,
especially on a shit night and stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Like a Cork will definitely go down. Like there's just
they have big plans to redevelop their stadium.
Which
along there's actually someone asking here, Dylan 2411's asking what do you think of the Cork takeover. I actually haven't heard about that, but
Cork takeover.
There's something going on. They have financial trouble. Maybe there's like
they had to sell their add-on, their sell-on. Did you hear this?
No, I haven't.
So what happened was they nearly went bust. Basically, a few hours going from bust. So they went to Preston and said they had sell-on clauses in like Sean Maguire's contract and stuff, and they sold the sell-on clauses for like 500 grand to Cork. Like they sold it to Preston, so then Cork got the money and could pump up the money for their license and all this year.
I think there was something about Preston buying some shares or something.
I think there's talk
for like kind of feeder club for them.
Cork I think Cork are essential for the League of Ireland.
Definitely.
I mean, they're a massive club. They get great attendances.
They were up the top of the table 3 years ago.
I mean, but I think with Cork it's always boom and bust. They're always like really good, and then it's like, oh god, we're gonna go straight down.
Yeah.
So like it's Dundalk are so kind of well run. They're so consistent.
But Dundalk have the people that run in Dundalk and the company that own them, the Americans, like they've got so much experience of doing that you know Cork are always Dundalk are always going to be well run. But Cork, vital to the League of Ireland, but can't really see them surviving this year. I think it'd take a bit of a miracle.
Yeah.
Excuse me, I could be wrong, but that's how I see it.
Anyway, guys, I think that's about everything we have time for today. Brían, thank you so much for joining us today. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Anytime.
Yeah, if you're new around here, please make sure to drop a like on the video and subscribe as well. If you're watching it on YouTube, subscribe of course, and if you're listening to it on Spotify or iTunes, is it subscribe? Is that what?
Spotify, iTunes.
Follow.
Follow.
Yeah, follow. So.
Tell your nanny about it.
Yeah. Pass the pod.
Pass the pod.
Thanks for watching, guys. Catch us in a bit.